Hey, this is Tonja K. Taylor with River Rain Creative Arts. This is part 2 of success strategies for your power readers. Power is the acronym that the Lord gave me years ago. I use it in my book series, The Adventures of Princess Pearl Power Girl, and it stands for Purposeful Operations with Eternal Rewards. So also when I taught 4th grade math and English in public school a few years ago, I called my students power readers and power writers, and they liked that. We would have competitions, and then whoever had read the most books or written the most book reports actually is what it turned out to be correctly, and I would check them to make sure they weren't just writing whatever. They would have to, I would tell if they read the books or not. Whoever turned in the most book reports for the week got to wear the power crown. They liked that. And it was just a crown I found at a craft store. It cost a few dollars, but it sure brought a lot of priceless rewards. Here are 5, 6, 7, and 8 for part 2 of success strategies to help your power readers. Number 5, most words with the ed suffix, and we need to teach them that the suffixes are the little 2 or 3, 4 little letters, not words, glued onto the ends of the root word, which affect the parts of speech. Like we have celebrate is the root word. We use the suffix tion, which, by the way, I teach them always sounds like shun. Tion, in that order, as a suffix, is always shun. That helps them with pronunciation. So we have celebrate, the root word, which is a verb. We add suffix shun to it. That makes it a noun, which is actually an abstract noun, and I teach them there are 4 kinds of nouns. So let's go over this class right now. 4 kinds of nouns. It's not really person, place, thing, or idea. That's general. There's personal or proper nouns that are capitalized because they're always the names of people or places, organizations, things like book titles, movie titles, toys, Statue of Liberty, stuff like that. Okay, personal or proper. Then there's pronouns that take the place of specific nouns. He, she, it, we, may, them, they, their. Okay. Then we have the general or concrete or regular nouns like boy, dog, lamp, desk, laptop, aunt, uncle, mom, dad. Concrete. I use the word concrete because you can see and touch concrete. And then I tell them the concrete nouns are tangible. You can touch it. Then I use the opposite with the prefix intangible, because when you use a prefix and you glue it to the front of a root word, it totally changes, it totally changes the meaning of the root word. So these are tips I'm giving you along the way, and they may be listed in the rest of my list of 20. Okay? But you can use this at home with one child. You can use this in a classroom of hundreds, okay? Or online, wherever. So then I tell them there are abstract nouns, the intangible, the ones that are very real but that you cannot touch, like sunlight, gravity, time, days, seasons, emotions, ideas, dreams, events. You can go to the birthday party and touch the cake or the birthday girl or the table or the gift, but you cannot touch the party itself. You cannot touch the ball game itself. You cannot touch the event. So an event is an abstract noun or an intangible noun. So I teach them many things at once. It's really good to integrate as much learning as you can. Give all the value for the hour that you can, or however much time you have. So I got a little sidetracked in a way, but like I tell my students, I always have a plan. And if they have, I ask if they have questions on a specific topic. If they do, we start there. If not, we go with my plan. But then I go with the flow, just like I'm doing right now, because we want to take advantage of the moment and use those teaching moments that may never come exactly that way again. So, where did I start? Number 5, most words with the ed suffix blend into the syllable of they blend into the syllable before them, like walked. And I clap my hands to show the number of beats. Walk. It's not walked, it's walked. But then we have other words, and they just have to learn them, because some of these things in English, they don't make sense. Some sight words are called sight words. You just have to learn them that way. They're irregular. And there are things like this that are irregular. They don't follow the rules all the time. So we have walk, one beat, and we have blended, where the ed has its own syllable. So they just have to learn, and they'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. All right, number 6, many words from other languages have been incorporated into English, and I share some with them, like zephyr, which came from the French language. That's just a cool word anyway. That means a slight breeze. So that's fun to explore other cultures, the words that have come from other cultures. And my dad used to make a joke, say French people spelled funny. You know, bourgeois, zephyr, ballet. It's not ballet, it's ballet. But so we make a funny with that. I also teach them the Cajun French word lagniappe, which looks like lagniappe, but it's lagniappe. And I tell them that means the delight factor and bonus and extra, like I'm giving you right now. And then I like to teach them the French word objet d'art. Looks like objet d'art. Objet d'art means masterpiece or work of art. And so I like to tell them you're an objet d'art. Work of art. Okay. And then, of course, especially if you're a teacher or a parent that's been very involved in your child's English education, you know about context clues. If they come across a word that they don't know, it's good to know how to use a dictionary, and they need to. I taught my daughter to, I taught my 4th graders to, and my dad taught me a long time ago, and I'm glad. However, a lot of times they need to just look at the sentences around them, what's going on around that word, and figure out as closely as they can, if not the denotation, which is the exact meaning, the connotation, which is close to the exact meaning. Close enough they can figure out what's going on. They can infer, which is a word they also need to know, meaning guess properly, educated guess, and inference. They need to infer what's going on with, or what the meaning of that word is, by using context clues, reading the dialogue, observing what the characters are doing, especially if it's fiction, reading the sentences around if it's nonfiction, and to deduce or figure out, infer what the word means and get as close as possible. It's also a good tip to teach them the meanings of root words, to help them see if they can find the root word. And that doesn't happen in every word, but in some it does. Like repeatedly, they can spot the word repeat, and they know what repeat means almost always, unless they're maybe kindergarten or something like that. All right. Again, it is important to teach them how to use a dictionary, but instead of getting on their phone and Googling it or going and getting a hard copy dictionary, they need to use context clues. They need to know that. All right, and number 8, which is the last one for this session in part 2, having the student predict and preview before reading a book or even a story or a text, okay? Look at the title. Have them look at the title and have them predict if they can tell what the story should be about, or would be about, by the title. Now that's going to be, it can be a little bit less clear if it's the title for a fiction work, but a title for an article, a report, something nonfiction, that should be very clear, just like a heading on a newspaper. It should be very clear if it's a nonfiction work what that text is about. So, but it's important they know how to do that. And if it's a book with a cover illustration or something, or maybe an illustration right on the inside of the book, you can have them look at these things and predict what's going to happen. So you're giving them a preview of the book, and while you're at it, or the article or story, you can remind them that preview means, preview starts with the prefix, the prefix pre, which means before, and you're predicting, so they're doing things ahead of time. Predicting, figuring out things ahead of time, previewing, looking ahead, just like when we watch a trailer for a movie. You're previewing the movie to see if you might want to watch it. So throw in all these extra teaching moments there. So also having them predict and preview a book or story or article is drawing them in. It's engaging their interest, and that will help their focus through the piece, most likely. All right, so, and also it can stimulate their creativity, because if they're thinking, well, maybe it's about this, maybe it's about that, their creativity is working, and we want that. So I believe these are helping you. Stay tuned for part 3 of Success Strategies for Your Power Readers.